Hey, this is George. Have you ever heard of Anchor.fm? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number one, it's free. Number two, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can hear it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Check out Anchor.fm on the iOS and Android systems.
Need psychotherapy online or in person? Check out tinyurl.com/THT psychotherapy. The George Brassey podcast is made possible with funding provided from Brassey Global Strategies, LLC, a leading political consulting, public policy, government affairs, and research firm. Are you interested in running for elected office? Need advice? Call or email George, 708-769-5015. Brassey Global Strategies 1@gmail.com.
Snowstorm forces Chicago Heights to close City Hall. Snowstorm forces Chicago Heights to close City Hall, Chicago Heights, Illinois. Snow was on everybody's mind at Wednesday night's Chicago Heights City Council meeting. The Chicago area was hit by a major snowstorm, and Chicago Heights had about 10 inches of snow dumped on it Tuesday and Wednesday. City Hall was closed Wednesday afternoon because of the winter storm, and garbage pickup on Wednesday and Thursday was also postponed. And students at Chicago Heights School District 163 went to remote learning Wednesday because of the storm. The mayor's chief of staff, Karen Zaranti, thanked city workers for their efforts. She told the council that city workers had been working round the clock to keep city streets open and safe, and would continue to do so throughout the duration of the storm. Fifth Ward Alderman George Brassey also lauded city workers, saying, "The snowstorm we have experienced in recent days has been terrible, but the City of Chicago Heights Public Works Department has done an excellent job in maintaining the roads during the snowstorm. Each and every resident's request that was submitted to my office was addressed in a quick and efficient fashion." Christopher Bykoskas, 4th Ward Alderman, added that Public Works is working diligently, doing a great job cleaning up the streets. In other business, Zaranti said that the city would be hosting its second Illinois Department of Public Health clinic offering vaccinations and booster shots 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday, February 12 at City Hall. The council also approved an ordinance renewing the city's employee health insurance policy and premium. The city expects to see premiums remain roughly the same. The city's benefits and insurance consultant told the council that he was able to negotiate lower rates with its insurer, Blue Cross/Blue Shield PPO, despite higher prescription drug usage by the 231 employees covered under the policy. Snowstorm forces Chicago Heights to close City Hall.
Before we get to the interview, I just want to tell you about our newest sponsor, Union Signs and Printing. Union Signs and Printing is a union sign shop located near Chicago, Illinois, that specializes in the production of corrugated plastic lawn signs used in applications ranging from political and election usages to unions, schools, and businesses. They also produce a vast array of other products, including American-made, union-printed t-shirts, banners, bio cards, literature, door hangers, business cards, and trifold. Get a hold of Union Signs and Printing at 815-740-1688 or find them on the internet at unionsignsandprinting.com. And don't forget to tell them you heard about their services on the George Brassey podcast. Glad to welcome Trustee Rodrick Grant from Sauk Village. Trustee Grant, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, George. How you doing today? Good morning.
Morning. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Tell the audience a little bit about who Trustee Grant is and what led him to running for trustee in Sauk Village.
Absolutely. So I am currently in my second term as Village Trustee right now. Was first appointed in 2017, um, and then had a pretty learning experience for a first term, and then reelected in 2021. But what originally got me into politics is Sauk Village politics is that back in 2008, I had like an urge to when I saw President Obama when he actually won his first election, and you saw the crowd out there in Grant Park there, and it was so electrifying, and it was a movement, and that just kind of it's been instilled in me ever since then. And so I moved out here in 2015, so it's been about 6 years. And at that point in time, I immediately got involved. I started taking my village meetings, started seeing how the current board at that time operated, and I was like, this is who's running our village. And I was like, oh well, if they can do it, and they can, at that time there was a lot of discord, and I was like, well, I can do this as well, and hopefully be an asset and make a change in the village. So immediately I jumped right in, got involved, and I just took off ever since.
Trustee Grant, when President Obama was elected in 2008, how old are you?
I had to be 20. Wow, let me see, 2008, 2011, 2020. No, 28, 18.
You're 18?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, was there an interest in politics from a young age, or was the Obama presidency and his election, was that where it started? Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's where it started. So it was something about just, honestly, and just, being honest, to see, a black man be the leader of the free world, right? And it's like, wow, like this is really happening. This is 2008. And it's like, okay, well, this is a thing. This is a movement. So if he can do it at that level, the national level, then I can do something locally. And so that's when it first started. And again, like it had to lay dormant for a little bit because I was still in school. I think that was like my first year of school, I believe. And so it's had to lay dormant. And then I just knew that whenever I made a residence my home, whatever area that would be, I would jump right in. And that's exactly what I did.
Trustee Grant, did you grow up in Sauk Village?
I did not. I actually grew up in the city of Chicago on the south side. And I actually had an opportunity in 2015 to purchase a home in Sauk Village, and that's what I did.
Got it. The Sauk Village has got one of these. I find it a very interesting place politically. There's definitely a level of conflict that's been present as long as I've been following it. What do you think causes so much conflict in the village on the board?
On the board? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, George, it's because it's these are relationships who people who've known each other. This Sauk Village is fairly small. It's about 10,500 people, roughly 10,000 people. And so a lot of the people, they know each other, right? And so these are people who have been friends for years and years, but over the course of the years, friendships fall apart. And so it kind of turns to almost personal, right? And so because it's personal, it just and then politics are involved, it just polarizes it. It just makes it so much worse than what it really is. So yeah, there's been a lot of discord ever since I've been out here, even way before I've been out. But the reason is because it's usually a situation where there's a mayor and who's the CEO of the city, and then there's a majority of the board who is probably against that mayor. And so at that point in time, there's just going to be contention, and it's tough, and it's unfortunate when you do have that.
Mm-hmm. You are an ally of the current mayor. Talk a little bit about the work you and him have done together on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I definitely support Mayor Burgess. Mayor Burgess has been a resident of Sauk Village for over 30 years. To me, he's always had a passion. He lives, breathes Sauk Village, and he always wants what's best. So I do support him because that's something that I do, right? I support Sauk Village. I want Sauk Village to grow. I want to see what's best for Sauk Village. And so, yeah, we definitely ally on that aspect of it. So, we've done a lot of good things together, as much as we could, honestly. when we first started, we were just learning, right? We're both learning. He's first time mayor, I'm first time trustee. So just kind of figuring things out. But we were able to actually sell some land for over $1 million, which is like the first big economic development opportunity we've had in over 20 years in the village. We had a chance to actually establish a cash reserve, which is the first time we've ever been able to do that. And that was over $800,000 in a cash reserve. We put some policies in place that really, we think helped the village, better the village, and so we've done a few good things, and we're hoping to just continue that now. This is 2021 now, so things are a little bit different after the last election, but we're just hoping to continue that pace that we were going initially.
Now, after the last election, the mayor was reelected and there's some new trustees. Are you more hopeful with the new trustees than the previous board?
Yeah, absolutely. So there were 3 seats that were available, that were open. My seat was a reelection seat, and then which I did win my reelection, and there were 2 other trustees as well. Now we all ran together on the same ticket. So yes, I do support them as well, and I do think we're more hopeful this time because, for one, we're all aligned. We're all on the same page. We know what we have Sauk Village's best interest at heart, and not to say that other candidates didn't, right? But the fact is that together, we knew or we know what we want to see. We have a vision for Sauk Village, and so I was fortunate enough that all of us 3 candidates won our election efforts, and so therefore, I really see a brighter future ahead for us.
Trustee Grant, your bio says that you hold a Master's of Business Administration. Talk about where you went to school and how that degree helps you be a better trustee.
Yeah, sure. So I attended Western Illinois University in Macomb, Illinois, which is about 3.5 hours away. I did 4 years, received my business there with a marketing major and a finance minor. Then after attending WIU, I attended Roosevelt University here in Chicagoland area, where I received my MBA with a concentration in finance. So honestly, as a trustee, the mayor has put me in charge of the Budget and Finance Committee. So I've been on that committee since 2017, and mainly because of my passion for finances. So I do understand them very well. Assisted with preparing the budget for the village for the past, since 2017. And so I just have a niche for that, right? And that's kind of my thing. So he lets me just run the finance show, not the show, but just as a trustee of that committee. And he trusts me with that position, and I definitely appreciate that.
You're a numbers guy. So do you have any thoughts about not just the Sauk Village's issues with police and fire pension, but the state of Illinois' issues with that?
Yeah, I do. And it's like I say, it's not just a Sauk Village problem. It is a state problem, and it's, a national, right? It goes beyond Illinois as well. There's going to have to be some kind of reform, right? There's something that's going to have to happen on a big level, not just a local level, downstate, where we can get something done, some relief, because, these municipalities these days, we can't afford it financially. It's tough. These pensions have grown to an absurd amount, and it's financially, municipalities, we just can't operate like that. It put us in a pretty big hole. So at the state level, we're going to have to definitely get some legislation in place that gives some kind of relief to all municipalities across the board, and hopefully we can definitely address the issue.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really can. It's something that can have huge costs for every municipality in the state of Illinois.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about what you feel people get wrong about Sauk Village.
Well, so I think that people think that Sauk Village is one of like the worst places to stay in the south suburbs, and that's not the case. It's actually a very good community. A lot of people still move to Sauk Village, right? Move probably because they can't afford other places. They move here because we're in a pretty great location. There are some good benefits. We have Indiana that we're right next to, right off 394, so we're definitely in a good spot. And people also think that this town is just, and I see the reports, I see the articles. It's just not a good place to stay. crime wise. But honestly, George, I mean, there's crime everywhere. When you're in a smaller community, it's kind of magnified because you are the smaller community. So when an issue happens or arises, it's going to seem bigger than what it really is. But I mean, when you compare it to a big city like Chicago, it's probably on the same level, right? It's crime is everywhere. So it's not just a Chicago thing, Sauk Village thing. It's an everywhere thing.
Absolutely. Why do you think the politics in Sauk Village are so ugly on the internet? That's one thing I've noticed about your town is that the internet politics and the internet comments, they seem like they're pretty endless.
Yeah, and George, that's just because behind the keyboard, everybody's a warrior, right? So everybody can, you can express yourself, freedom of speech, and that's fine. But everybody is a little tougher behind that keyboard, and honestly, I feel like it shouldn't be like that. There's no place for it because at the end of the day, people go when they're interested in your town. They go to those websites. They go to social media. They check out what's going on in your location. So when they read that stuff, they're not reading stuff that's always positive, right? They're reading more negative than positive, and so that can turn off a economic opportunity, right? That could turn off a potential business. That could turn off a potential sale of land or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely an issue. It's been an issue for a while, but I don't. How do you stop it? No idea, because again, that's freedom of speech. But it definitely should be addressed some way somehow.
What are you hopeful for the village's future?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, so really recently reelected, and so the mayor has actually, along with the village board, put some things into place that he's actually finally has a good team in place now. So we actually hoping that our team that we put in place can actually all work together and do what's best for the village. So we do have a village administrator. We've added some pieces such as human resources. We're trying to get our books back in order financially. So I think that we're definitely on the right track. It took a little time to get there, but we're here now. It's going to take a little bit of time to dig out the hole, but I think that ultimately at the end of the day, it'll be much better in a few years than it is today.
Mm-hmm. Trustee Grant, what are 2 books you would recommend to the audience that have been influential to you as a person?
Yeah, so like earlier, like I stated, like you mentioned, I'm a numbers guy, right? I'm a finance guy. So I would say probably the 2 biggest ones, and probably one of the first financial books I've read was a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think you're MBA, so I'm sure you probably heard of it at some point.
Sure.
It's to me, it was one of the first financial literacy books that I've read, and it was a very good read, right? And it made it so simple to understand. It just kind of, when you think of finance, you think of there's a lot of numbers. It's too much. It's daunting, right? And we have this negative kind of conception of it. But it kind of broke it down to simple terms. It's kind of made it seem like really simple how you can, invest in small dollars and you can one day have big dollars. You can buy real estate. So yeah, it was one of the first few books that I read financially wise, and one of my favorites to this day. And then I have to say my second probably is a book called The Real Life MBA. So that book was by Jack Welch, and I think his wife as well. Jack Welch was the former CEO of GE, and it's pretty much more of a leadership book, an organizational book of how an organization should run. Basically, it says that no matter how big or small you are, there's no I in team, right? We all work together for a common goal, which is how every organization should run. And it's kind of laid out some principles of how you should go about getting there, and how and just how how organizations, how they can just get better at themselves. Right? I mean, how can they can be better? So those are probably 2 of my favorites. Um, I would definitely say those are great reads, and I haven't read them in quite some time. But those are some books that I'll probably always go back, keep on the bookshelf, and read probably in the near future.
Yeah, that Rich Dad Poor Dad, that's a really influential book. I haven't read the second one, but I have read the first one.
Right.
He's got a lot of followers.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Trustee Grant, if the audience wanted to connect with you, learn more about you, where would they find you on the internet?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm not huge on social media, but I do have a Sauk Village Trustee Facebook page, and that's you can type in my name and friends of Trustee Rodrick Grant. And so I do have Sauk Village Trustee Rodrick Grant. I do have a page you can like, follow, and I try to post as much as possible, but I could definitely do a little bit better at that. But if you can't reach me, you can always reach me at my Sauk Village email at rgrant@saukvillage.org. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to reach out, answer those questions, and just connect.
Absolutely. Trustee, coming on the podcast.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for having me on.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Help George stay on the Chicago Heights City Council. Go and donate today at tinyurl.com/AldermanGeorge2023. Need more George? Like his pages on Facebook. Friends of George Brassey PAC, Fifth Ward Business Alliance, Chicago Heights Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, and the George Brassey Podcast.